first tip, I want to talk to you about this simple question that you're probably not asking. Where is my mind? Think about it. How many times have you asked this to yourself? Where is my mind right now? And our mind can go so many different places, thousands of thoughts a day. Maybe you've had the experience of driving and you somehow arrive at your destination and you don't remember the trip at all. You somehow got from A to B, you didn't get in any kind of crash, you didn't get lost, and yet you weren't really paying attention either. You were just on autopilot. And our brain is really good at doing that, and going on autopilot on really over-rehearsed, over-learned activities, like driving from one place to another if you do it every day. The same thing happens with the way we think and our thinking patterns. And this is true for worrying, that we can kind of habitually worry and go on autopilot and not even really recognize that we're doing it. And somehow we've gone from A to B, A being I'm having a great day, totally relaxed, to B panicking or freaking out, and we don't even see how we got there. So this question of where is my mind is going to be so helpful for you to slow that down and to get out of autopilot. One obvious time that you can ask this is when you're feeling worried or feeling stressed. You've got the heart rate changing and you're feeling tense and you're having trouble breathing. Slow down, stop and say, where is my mind right now? What did I just tell myself? Now that's a little easier said than done because, as I said, this is overlearned and it's automatic. So another tip that you can try is to practice asking this of yourself any old time when you're not worried. In fact, it's better if you try it when you're not worried at all, because you get into the habit of it. Worry likes to completely take away our memory for things like this. So we need to practice it before we're worried. Now, no worries here. There's a lot of easy times to practice this, so you don't have to change anything about your day to practice asking yourself this question. Think about natural times in your day where you're stopping, waiting, transitioning, or reacting. They're already built into your day. They happen all the time, so you have countless opportunities to practice. So think about what you normally do when you're waiting for class to start. Maybe you're on your phone, maybe you're frantically reviewing notes, maybe you're trying to just zone out, maybe you're listening to music, maybe you're on Facebook. What if you could use that time to just briefly check in with yourself and say, where's my mind? I'm about to start class, where's my mind right now? And then ask yourself as you're transitioning to the next class or the next situation. Or maybe you're going from one role to another, from student to group leader. Ask yourself, where is my mind right now? And there's no right answer to this. Your mind isn't supposed to be any place in particular. The idea is to get into the habit of asking yourself and noticing. Again, there's natural reaction times in your day, when that email pings, when your phone rings, and right before you jump into answering it, just take a moment to pause and say, where is my mind? And if you do this, in practice, you get more in the habit of checking in with yourself. And you get to know that greatest hits playlist of worried thoughts. So you know, oh yes, I've been here before. That's an old tune, that's a broken record. And with more practice and more awareness and more curiosity and openness to trying and it being difficult before it's easy, that's all part of the process. You get to turn that song off repeat. You get to take off that greatest hits playlist and start to find new things to think about or new ways to think about an old situation. Your second tip to stop worrying is to focus on right now. Again, very simple, but not always easy. Now, worries are not really focused on the present moment. They're really not about what's happening now. Quite often they're about the future, and we're worrying and overthinking about something that is yet to come, something that is uncertain and out of our control. Sometimes they're also about what's happened in the past, where we turn over and over and over again in our mind something that has already happened or something that could have happened. Now, if it is about something that's happening right now, like maybe the way somebody looked at you and you said something, it's also not really about what's happening right in front of you, but some alternate version of it, what you're worried about what this might mean. So focusing on right now is about focusing on what's actually right in front of you. And that could be your surroundings, the settings, the situation as it actually is, and what you can do right here and right now. So when you focus on right now, the first thing you can do is ask yourself, what is actually happening right now? So your friend just kind of sighed when you brought up studying together, and you think, oh my gosh, they don't really want to study with me, I'm a burden. Or you could say, what's actually happening right now? Right now, we're actually sitting here at the union, talking about midterms, we're both getting a little stressed, and I talked about studying, and my friend sighed. That could mean so many things, right? Focus on what's actually happening. So whether you're lying in bed trying to fall asleep, studying, and then beginning to worry about the exam, whatever it is, focus on right now, right in front of you. And then ask yourself, what can I actually do right now? And we'll talk about finding solutions to problems in another tip here. For now, just know that worries take away our ability to solve a problem. They're not really constructive or helpful. They don't give us any answers, they don't solve any problems, they just overcomplicate things. So ask yourself, what can I do right now? And sometimes there's nothing that you can do except choosing to give the worries a rest, come back to them later, put them aside, choosing to look at the situation in a different way. You can ask yourself, what would be a better use of my time right now? Is this worrying right now helping me right now? And what would be better? So if you're trying to fall asleep, is it really helping you to look at the clock and worry about how you're not falling asleep? No, it's probably not a good use of your time. You can also focus on your surroundings using your senses. Your surroundings are always there. Wherever you are, your senses are also always there, and a constant anchor to right here and now. So let's try it right now. Look around your room, wherever you are, it doesn't matter, and point out all of the blue things that you can see. Doesn't matter how tiny it is, it doesn't have to be the whole item. Anything blue in your room or wherever you are that you see. So as I'm looking around my room, I'm noticing there are a lot of blue things that I don't normally pay attention to. As you practice this, you might notice that it's really hard to worry while you're paying attention to all of this. This not only keeps your brain from getting stuck on those worries, but it connects you again to where you are right now, and it really takes the power away from those worries. So those are some ways that you can focus on right now, what is actually happening, what can I do, what would be a better use of my time right now, and what are my senses telling me about what's around me? Your third tip to stop worrying is to convert those worries into an answerable question or solvable problem. The telltale calling card of anxiety and worry is a question. And the most common question is, let's see if you can think of it, what if? What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if I don't get a job when I graduate? What if? They really build on each other and spin out really far into the future until we're the crazy old cat lady, right? What if? Now, even though it's a question, what we actually hear in our minds is I will fail, I will be rejected, I won't get a job when I graduate, I will be that crazy cat lady. So we hear it as a fact, and really the fact is that these are questions that we cannot answer. What if I become the crazy cat lady? I don't know, right? What if you don't get a job? It's out of your hands, and when it's phrased like that, it's so uncertain, it doesn't give you any kind of direction. So when you find yourself asking these unanswerable questions, turn it into something that you can answer or solve. So for example, what if I don't get a job when I graduate? Brainstorm all of the questions that you can get answers to. Information can be the antidote to worry. So asking, well, how do I begin a job search? Where do I look for a job? What are some key terms for finding a job? How do I put my resume together? Who can I talk to about getting a job? Are there other people in my major who are looking for a job? Is there a mentor in the field who I can talk to about getting a job? Are there internships? What is the typical career path? You get the idea. There's actually answers to those questions, and when we ask ourselves those questions, we're not hearing it as this statement of fact of I will not get a job. In fact, it's a lot of solutions. We're creating an action plan. So whenever you're worrying and you find those unanswerable questions, step back, ask, where's my mind? What can I do right now? And what can I ask myself? Or what questions can I ask to go get information that will actually help me through this situation? Your fourth tip to stop worrying is to get out of end of the world thinking and get back into the real world. Be realistic. Now, when I say realistic, I don't necessarily mean be super 100% positive. You might have heard people say just think positively, and while there's a lot of benefit to that in trying to find the positives and having gratitude and optimism and hope, if we overlook a concern and deny that it's something that we're worried about, that can actually hurt us too and create more anxiety. And the thing to know is there's often that kernel of truth in the anxiety, but it's just a kernel. It's not the whole truth. And so when worry is telling you that this is going to be the end of the world, it will be the end of the world if you don't get this job exactly the way you planned it, it's really hurting you. So get out of that end of the world thinking and get back into what is the real world, real life, realistic outcome here. Realistically, what is the worst that happens if I don't do well on this exam? Realistically, what is the worst that happens if I bomb that interview? Realistically, what is the worst that happens if I don't know what I want to do when I graduate? Get really realistic. And that again gets you back into a space where you can solve these problems and ask the kinds of questions that help give you a direction. Your fifth tip to stop worrying is to redefine failure and mistakes. So if you're one of those all or nothing, black and white perfectionist kind of people, this might be especially for you. Something that students in particular worry about is failure or mistakes or looking unintelligent, giving the wrong answer in class, failing an exam, not knowing how to do something. And then because they're so worried about this, they will not try, they won't ask the questions, they run away from a situation or avoid a situation where there could be failure or mistake, or they beat themselves up about it. And none of this is helpful, and in fact, failure and mistakes are all part of the process. They're part of the process of living, but they're part of the process of being a student and getting an education, and it's one of the ways that we learn. As Albert Einstein said, if you haven't ever made a mistake, you haven't tried anything new. So what I want you to think about is how you can redefine failure and mistake for yourself. So if you tend to get worried about making a mistake, worried about being imperfect, you might benefit from finding some gray areas, some flexibility here and saying, how can I actually benefit from a mistake? Or if I have failed, how do I usually grow from it? What are some times in the past that have been challenging and that I've felt like a failure, but I've really thrived afterwards, and I've turned it into a really positive situation? And when you can redefine failure and mistakes, there's less to worry about. There's less on the line. When you can recognize that failure or mistake doesn't really define your worth or your competence or your value as a person, again, you can kind of release that load on your back. You can just have a little bit more fun with learning and get curious and explore and not worry about what if it all goes wrong. So that's your fifth tip, redefine failure and mistakes.